Power Book 44 Season 3, Episode 3 is called, There's Always a Price to Pay, which is pretty much an accurate description of the plot. Almost everyone in the Starz drama gets in some kind of trouble. The sole exception is Tommy Egan, but that seems to be intentional, as the episode sets up how much is soon going to be stacked against him. It's an interesting way of approaching the story at what amounts to the 1/3 point, as there are only 10 episodes in the final season. On one hand, audiences love seeing Tommy Egan in action, as they should. There's a reason he got his own spin-off. Joseph Sikora is brilliant at chewing the scenery, particularly when Tommy and the Serbians find Ortega's uncle Luis and proceed to throw him out a window. There's always been a certain theatricality to Tommy, and Sikora makes these scenes memorable. He's a larger-than-life character and the viewers want to see him not just succeed, but succeed in style, but having Tommy succeed for the most part, unless one counts the United Kings pulling out of the coalition, runs the risk of making him seem infallible. Power Book 44 tries to counteract that by lining up some more dominoes against Tommy and CBI, starting the process of connecting a few dots. The Cartel is the major player here in a few ways. Ortega finds out that Claudia is working with Tommy and thus ends his deal with her. After Luis' unfortunate death, Ortega and Miguel team up over their mutual hatred of Tommy. And it's revealed at the end that a USA bill saying is in Ortega's pocket, too, having undermined Stacy Mark's case with the small act of making an intentional typo on a search warrant. For anyone who was also watching Ballard this season, it's disappointing to see actor Alan Oy's character go over to the dark side, just because he makes a solid. There's a lot of hate in the world of Power Book 4, Force. That's a given considering the subject matter. But in Season 3, Episode 2, A Seat at the Table, the Starz drama reminds viewers that it's not all about who's after who and getting one over on each other. There are relationships that are genuine, too. Some more than others. The idea of love, both good and bad, runs through the episode. On the good side, there's Tommy and Mireya, who almost have a cute pizza lunch date before the Marquez cartel tries to kill Tommy. But for the few moments before the drive-by, they're as adorable as anyone in the Power universe ever gets. And in the aftermath, they're sweet too. Mireya patches up a wounded Bones in Tommy's apartment, after which Tommy not only thanks her for doing so, but apologizes for getting her caught up in his feud with the cartel. He displays genuine care not only for her physical safety, but for her feelings, too. Tommy Egan may be a tough guy, yet he also has a heart. Elsewhere, two back-to-back scenes are in direct contrast. Jenard and Shanti have an emotional moment, in which she tells him that what their personal relationship is just as important as what they're trying to do. Shanti also confronts Jenard about possibly being back on drugs, and while he isn't, the embrace they share afterward says a lot. Right after that, though, Stacy meets with Bobby following his decision to serve her with divorce papers. It's a back-and-forth conversation that is painful in its whiplash. Her opening line is, "You know you still love me," putting the onus on him, before she tearfully tells Bobby how much she needs him, and then when he asks if she's just trying to reconcile for her new mayoral campaign, Stacy can't answer. There is obviously part of her that is heartbroken. The last shot of Stacy at her desk is likewise worth 1,000 words, but putting these two sequences together shows the difference between the relationships. One couple works through their potential issues, the other doesn't. Then there's Claudia Flynn having a tearful conversation with her girlfriend Becky, too. Power Book 4, Force fans are so used to Stone Cold Claudia that it almost comes as a shock to see her affected, and Lily Simmons plays the scene wonderfully. All of this is important in the sense that it gives the entire show meaning. Sure, the drive-bys and hold-ups are thrilling, but tough guys, and gals, on TV are a dime a dozen. Being reminded that these characters are three-dimensional people, beyond whatever they're plotting next, ensures that viewers care and aren't just keeping score. That being said, there are two drive-by shootings, a warehouse fire and a beheading in A Seat at the Table. Power Book 4, Force is not skimping on the action in its final season. Tommy walking into a coalition meeting holding up a severed head is probably a top 10 Tommy Egan moment, and Joseph Sikora sells the daylights out of the accompanying monologue to back up the visual emphatically. This episode states, out loud and repeatedly, how many people believe Tommy is a liability. This isn't unexpected. Even in season 3, the stage has to be set for Tommy to have one last epic battle, and that means people have to turn against him. The threats don't stop. But after setting the stage and re-establishing all the rivalries in the season 3 premiere, episode 2 is wise to similarly remind viewers that Power Book 4, Force has more going for it than the drug dealing. From Tommy and Maria, to Stacy and Bobby, to even Vic reuniting with Beth, there are emotional stakes as well and relationships that audience members can invest in. Some of them are absolutely going to fall apart and some of these people won't survive, but Force is like Tommy Egan, it has a lot more layers than it's given credit for. This season, Tommy Egan is on one, and while it may be extremely entertaining, his list of adversaries is getting longer by the moment. Furthermore, I didn't think it could get any longer than it was. When everything is said and done, Tommy usually gets what he wants, but he should exercise caution since Chicago isn't New York, and if things go south, there might not be anyone to support him. Tommy is usually 10 steps ahead of his adversaries, but it seems like he is so focused at the moment that he is blind to the actual snakes that are already setting up camp in his lawn. It took him a minute to realize that Vic was lying to him, but once he did, he made the decision that keeping Vic alive was more important than killing him, a risk that may ultimately pay off. Vic is a lone wolf with very nothing to look forward to in life, but he is also the least trustworthy guy on this show, which is really saying something. The one little thing he had going for him was getting out of town and starting a new life. And that was taken from him by Tommy and Diamond. So it's either work with them or live with the guilt when they go after Beth shortly before they put him down for good. Tommy's taking a risk with Vic, but he's also met a million Vics before. His back is against the wall, and growing up the way he did, if you're going to be someone's little snitch, it's better to be working for Tommy and Diamond than the ops. Plus, if he gets enough on Stacy, maybe Tommy will give him more of a break. It's not likely, but it's worth a shot if you're Vic. Having an ear inside the task force felt like a familiar power trope. Still, it's slightly different this time because Vic doesn't really know much, but just feeding Stacy fake information and then feeding Tommy real information set off a crazy ripple effect that's going to last for a while. Vic's got himself into quite a predicament, though, because Stacy's not dumb, and it's not as if Tommy ultimately cares in the end if he gets caught by her and she sends him to jail or does whatever. He'll use Vic for as long as he can and then discard him when he's no longer useful. And for that reason alone, you'd think that would make Vic want to sabotage Tommy in some way, but we've seen how Tommy versus Vic has historically gone, and so has Vic. Trying to get leverage on Stacy is the correct play, and she may not realize it, but her political aspirations are likely to cause more trouble for her professionally. And that's on top of the way it's torpedoed her personal life. Well, that's not actually fair. When that marriage between Stacy and Bobby was pretty much DOA from the minute it was introduced to us, we don't get a ton of the couple, but when we do, it's evident that Stacy's ambitions and control issues played a significant role in the decline of their marriage. The fact that Bobby was sitting across from her, still wanting to make it work if she would give him an inch,